When we first meet the economy, what do the pictures we encounter tell us it is and who we are within it? The message from 20th century economic theory seems to be clear. Ask students the world over what's the first diagram they remember learning, and the answer is the same: supply and demand. This puts the market at the center of our vision, as if to say, welcome to economics, here is the market. It also makes price the metric of concern, and any value that falls outside of the price contract is known as an externality. So we find ourselves in the bizarre situation that climate breakdown and ecological destruction are called environmental externalities. This should set off alarm bells that this is a model not fit as a starting point for 21st century realities. What about the portrait of humanity in 20th century economics? It is, of course, rational economic man. His picture is never actually drawn, but if it were, he would look something like this. He'd be a man with no dependents, standing alone with money in his hand, self-interest in his heart, a calculator in his head, and nature at his feet. He hates work, he loves luxury, and he knows the price of everything. The real trouble with this portrait is not just how absurdly narrow it is, it's what looking at him does to us. Because on being told that he is like us, we actually become more like him. Research has found that university students studying economics from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 over time say that they more value traits like self-interest and competition over altruism and collaboration. So who we tell ourselves we are shapes who we become. Let's start 21st century economics with a far bigger picture: the embedded economy diagram. It shows that the economy is embedded within society and all its social, cultural, and political institutions, because the economy is a social construct made up of social relationships which humanity has created and can recreate. Society, in turn, is embedded in the living world, showing humanity as part of the web of life. The economy is bathed in a river of solar energy and daily draws in Earth's materials and matter and puts out waste and pollution. So we can ask from day one, how do we ensure that the economy works with and within the cycles of the living world? But then look within the economy itself. There are 4 fundamental sectors, 4 key ways in which we provision for our needs and wants, through the household, the commons, the market, and through the state. When economics starts with the market and rational economic man, then who we show up as is either consumer or producer. We are shopping or working in an economic relationship that we are told is ruled by self-interest and competition. But this is just one small slice of the many economic roles that we play. In relation to the state, we may be public servant, resident and service user, voter or protester, all valuable economic roles that we play in our relationships to the state. 20th century economic debate became an ideological boxing match between the market and the state. Are you a free market, laissez-faire capitalist or a state-loving socialist? And in that boxing match, economists lost sight of 2 other fundamental forms of provisioning for our needs and wants. The household, where we begin every day. It's so essential to our well-being that some people call it the core economy. Here we may be parent, partner, relative, or child, supporting and providing for each other's needs and wants. And it's only thanks to all the unpaid work of the household, the caring, cooking, washing, cleaning, sweeping, and raising the children, that labour can turn up fresh and ready for paid work through the market or the state each day. All this unpaid work in the household has, of course, traditionally been done by women the world over. And then there's the commons, a space in which people get together not through the market's relationship nor through the state, but as a community, following a shared set of rules and principles to co-create goods and services that they collectively value, like this community-run tree nursery in Malawi, or an after-school club, or Wikipedia on the World Wide Web. Notice that only the goods and services produced through the market and the state have money-changing hands, and so they show up in national income accounting are included in GDP. None of the unpaid work that goes on within the household or in the commons shows up even though it is of huge value to human well-being. Notice also that the we of society contrasts to the me of rational economic man, and that the social skills, values, and organizations that are needed to make things work well in households, in the state, and in the commons may be very different to the ones promoted in the market. Each one of these four forms of economic organizing has unique qualities and also unique limits and drawbacks, which means they tend to work best when they work together, and the state plays a key role in balancing and regulating between those relationships. So, stepping back, here are two questions to consider. First, how do these multiple economic roles show up in your own life? How do you engage in the household, the market, the commons, and the state as you go about your day? Second, what do you think is a healthy balance between these four forms of provisioning for people's needs and wants in a thriving 21st century economy?